Hello everybody, welcome to our CakeFu Master Series. Today we have a really fun guest with us, and I think she's just pretty genius. We have Jennifer Cucci here with us, so welcome Jennifer.
Hello, thank you.
Okay, you have invented a very cool little system, and I'm sure that most people have heard about it, but let's talk about you, talk about the cake pop roller, talk about, all of those kinds of things, and let's see what we can teach everybody. Oh, and all of you guys listening, make sure you stay around to the end because we're actually going to be doing a giveaway, so really exciting. We're going to be giving away a cake pop roller, so that is like a huge value, super cool. So, okay. So Jennifer, tell me about yourself, where you're from, your family, anything you want to tell us.
From Phoenix, born, raised 4 generations back, so from here for sure.
Wow.
I've been making cake pops for 4 years coming up next month. I started for my son's birthday party and haven't looked back.
Awesome. How fun. Well, cake pops are such a huge thing right now. They're just really popular among people. I know that cake decorators don't tend to enjoy them as much. I know that that's been the case with me throughout the years.
For sure.
Just because they just take so much time, and is it really worth it?
They do.
But yeah, I like cake pops. I think they're tasty, and I think they're really cute. I just have never liked to make them, and I know that that's a problem that a lot of people have an issue with, a lot of cake decorators. And so that's what we're here for today. We're going to address that issue.
That is an issue, and when I first started, I was just giving out the recipe saying, this is how you do it, because it did take me a long time. But for the cake decorators, a good tip is, when you level a cake or when you're cutting cakes, all those scraps that you have, it's a good place to kind of put those. You can, grind all those up and make cake pops out of it. So instead of throwing it away or, heaven forbid, eat them all, you can make cake pops and sell them. So it's just something else you can kind of profit off your scraps. And it does take some time, but with the right tools, it really doesn't. So that's kind of where I come into play, is trying to get you guys the tools to help you, make money on something like that rather than just spend time making them.
Exactly. Well, I agree with you completely, and especially cake decorators that own shops. We're always looking for ways to make a little bit more here and a little bit more there to, it always helps. That every little bit helps. And so, so making cake pops out of the scraps that you make out of your, custom cakes and things like that, or even just a wedding cake, leveling off the tops, like you said, that is a really great way of making an extra income off of something that would just be garbage.
Right.
And so, it's really helpful and really useful. So don't throw those scraps away. Keep them for cake pops. And we're going to show you guys how to make it faster and easier. I know that when I have done cake pops, you mix it together, and then you scoop each one, each little ball, and then you have to roll each little ball, and it takes so long.
I think the directions are really tailored around people that just make them for fun. A lot of the directions out there, they're not out there for production. So it's just something you have to adapt to. Leave the directions for the individuals, there.
That's right. Well, and okay, so you invented the cake pop roller. Yeah. What got you started on this whole idea even? How did you even come up with this idea? Because to me, it's genius to have something that just rolls them out for you, and you don't have to, worry about sitting here and rolling them, making sure they're perfect. Because I know when I roll them, they end up being almost like a diamond shape, and and then you have to Yeah, and then you fix it here, and and it takes me at least 2 minutes to get one of those dumb things, just the right shape. So how did you come up with this idea?
Well, for me, like I said, I started at my son's birthday party. I tried not to take any orders. That didn't happen. Um, making them first dozens here, dozen there, then 100 here, 100 there, and then by Christmas time, I was making thousands. So I had to roll 4,000, and I had to have my friends and family help me. And of course, their handfuls of cake balls were different than my handfuls of cake balls. So we had this big array of mess. So I was really on a quest to find something just to buy. I need to buy something to help me roll all these balls because there's no way I can make more than 4,000 by myself. Mm-hmm. So just a lot of searching online, looking for something that might work. I did find a big piece of equipment that I was ready to purchase, about $3,000 used. It was a divider rounder for dough. Looked like it would work when I was online. I looked at as many, YouTube videos and stuff as possible, but really, I was able to find one used and try it, and it didn't work at all. I mean, it just made them flat as a pancake, no 50 rounds in there for sure. So, I had to go back to Google and look for stuff. There's things like the marzipan roller for cake. There's pill rollers. There's bead rollers, all the same kind of thing, but they all just make them so super tiny that it just wasn't going to work for cake pops. So what I did is I went to a manufacturer and I said, hey, this is kind of the style that I need. I just need it to be bigger, so I can make cake pops out of it. So basically that's how I did it. I just took something that was similar that would work and said, adjust this to my needs. And basically I was just doing it for myself. I didn't know there was a huge, cake pop market out there, people that would want help rolling these little cake balls. So I just built one for myself, and I think you can still find it on YouTube. It's a big, giant white thing with ugly orange handles. Was my first cake pop roller.
Nice. All right. So from there, what made you think to manufacture these, and did you just think, oh, people will love this, so I've got to do it?
Not really. I was on Facebook a lot and talking to other, the couple cake pop, Facebook friends that are out there. And, a couple of them were having a lot of carpal tunnel syndrome, type stuff, and they'd been rolling too much and their wrists were tired and sore. So I was like, hey, I can put together a couple of these if anybody else is interested. And that's pretty much how it came about. I just put it up there on Facebook and said, hey, anybody want to pre-order some of these so I can, see how many I need to do. And turns out quite a few people wanted it, so I was able to, mass produce them for everyone.
That's really awesome. I mean, that's a huge undertaking to, come to something that works for you and is good and you see a need for it, but to jump into that and say, okay, I'm going to be in production now. I'm going to make these and I'm going to sell these. I mean, was that intimidating? Was that, did that scare you at all?
Not me. My husband, definitely it did. But no, it just all flowed for me. I knew how much I needed it. I don't think he quite understood because he wasn't in there rolling, hundreds, thousands of cake balls. Just that one order he helped me with. So I don't think he really understood the need as much as I did. But I knew it was out there, and I knew, there's too many people like me that just don't want to do that. So yeah, I wasn't as nervous as he was for sure.
Awesome. Well, we're all grateful that your husband came around and and decided that this was okay. Okay, so for those of you that haven't seen this cake pop roller, we're going to show you guys a demonstration of how it all works. It's really cool. It really is. And so, okay, we put together a video. Last week we were both here in Vegas for Cake Camp. And Jennifer, since she was here, we thought, okay, let's put together a video. Let's do, let's do something that we can share with everybody. And so, yeah, I think it turned out pretty good, and I think it's some pretty good information. So we're going to play that for you. I hope that this is all going to work out. Bobby will hurry and stop me if it's not working, and we'll get it fixed. But hopefully this will work out for you. This is the first time we've done a video on the Hangout format, so um, bear with us. Hopefully we'll get this to work. Okay. I'm going to do this.
So this is my cake pop dough. Basically, this is just a baked Betty Crocker cake. I bake it and then I put it into the food processor and I let it spin for about a minute, 2 minutes tops, and it'll turn into this dough without adding any frosting. If you want to add frosting, you can, but when I found out the food processor will bind the cake without adding any frosting, I decided no more frosting for me.
Awesome, that's awesome. Have you tried any other cake mixes to see if anything else does the same thing?
I have tried all cake mixes. So, strawberry, vanilla, chocolate, red velvet. I've tried them all. I do add frosting to the red velvet cakes just because that's the best part of red velvet is the frosting. But besides that, we don't add any. And if you are going to add the frosting to the food processor, I would do it before you even turn it on. So I would crumble the cake up in there and then put the frosting on top of that and then start it. Otherwise, it happens so fast that it's not going to give it enough time to absorb all the frosting.
Okay. Have you tried any different brands other than Betty Crocker?
Pillsbury, whatever's on sale.
Okay. Hey, so they all work.
So they all work, yeah.
So, but just in the food processor, just let it blend until it starts to combine.
Yeah, a mixer will work too. I use the paddle blade in the mixer. I do like the food processor better, but that's just a preference. So, yeah.
Okay, I really like that because whenever I've made cake pops, I've just mashed it with my hands and then mix in the buttercream, and that's the way I get it to
right.
combine.
And I did that too for a long time, and the problem was I was getting orders for a whole bunch, and to mix the cake, it didn't seem like a whole lot of time, but it probably took me 10 to 15 minutes to mix it by hand, and then that's one cake. So when you're making one cake, 10, 15 minutes, no big deal. But I was cooking 3, 5, 10, 12, 15, 20 cakes at a time.
Wow.
So at that point, it was like an arm workout to get all that cake mashed up. So for me, food processor is the easiest way. You can do it by hand, but if you're looking to save time, that's definitely 2 minutes rather than 10, 15 is much better.
Awesome. Great.
Awesome. So what I'm going to do with this is just make sure it's in a tight log. It's pretty compacted because I've been messing with it. But what I would do is just basically roll it into a tight log shape, and that's just so it'll go into the frame better. So here I've got
how
my...
you flatten it like that.
It's very technical.
It looks like, to me, it looks like a Campbell soup can. Just making your can and then just pop it out.
Yeah, and in that shape, it fits well into the frame.
Or a giant Tootsie Roll.
Giant Tootsie Roll. Love Tootsie Roll. So the frame is, it's meant to be flexible and also adjustable. So basically what you're going to want to do is just adjust it to the size of the dough you have. So you want it to be, you want the frame to be sized a little bit smaller than the amount of dough you have because you want the dough to fill this frame completely.
Is there a certain way to gauge that? Because I know that a lot of people are very particular about measurements and getting things just right. Is there a, just eyeball it kind of a thing?
Yeah, I would start maybe, if you have a full cake you're working with, maybe like a 3-2-1 rule, I think I like to say. So this is the first slot on this side. I've got 2 free ones on this side, and then there's 3 on the third on
so you've got 1 free or 1 slot on this side, 2 on this side, and 3 on this side.
Right. So that'll be probably about a box of cake.
1 box cake.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
We could try
Very
that.
good.
But for me, I'm going to stick it here for now.
And if you mess up and it's not enough, you can...
Okay, you just mash it back up, put it back into your log shape, and start over.
Okay. If you get it in there and it doesn't quite come to the top, should you re-roll it or should you just...
No, I don't think so. As long as it looks tight in there, and you might lose that one ball there at the end. But if you're messing around too much trying to make sure everything is just perfect, then just lay you down. So for the most part, as long as it's pretty tight, and it's the dough too, as long as the dough is pretty tight and not got a lot of air in it. You got to work out all the air in the dough.
We can move that over a second.
So you just want to roll this out into the frame, like I said. Just make sure you hit
Okay. So this flexes out a little bit. Is that going to be a problem?
Nope, actually you may want it to flex out. It just depends on your dough. Everybody's dough is a little bit different, so my frame, like I said, is designed to be flexible, so you could put more or less dough in here. It doesn't take much of a difference in height to change the shape you're going to roll, and you kind of have to get a feel for that. But if there's too much dough in here, if it's flexing too much, you might roll ovals. And if it's too straight on or not enough dough, maybe you've taken out too much dough, like this.
So you just kind of push it back and then just roll it again, and it just rolls.
And it just rolls out a little bit extra. So it just depends. If you're rolling squares, you might want to put more dough and have it expand out. If you're rolling ovals, you might want to bend in a side and kind of take a little bit of dough out. So it just depends on your dough. Like I said, everybody's dough is a little bit different, and this is just merely a guide to get you started.
Okay.
So I'm going to roll a little bit off here. So like I said, if you have a little bit too much excess, you just kind of bend in the side as you roll it off, and just a little bit at a time will come off. And it doesn't seem like that's going to be a big deal, but sometimes that little bit of difference will help you roll the right shape.
Okay.
I use the wax paper to kind of lift it off and transport it to the roller. And then you just want to put it in there long ways. If you flipped it and you turned it the other way, you would just have a whole bunch of little logs, which
so let's show you've got the grooves going this way, and then your top one, when you put it on,
it's the same.
It's the same way. Is it always the same way? You're always going the same?
Yeah, this always works the same with the lid. I'm just talking about the actual frame piece. You could you could put this in here this way, but then instead of 3 long logs, I'm going to get 6 short ones. And it's just easier to roll them.
Okay, it's easier to roll the longer one.
Right.
Okay, good to know.
So just press it down once to cut.
Okay, and that just cuts it.
It just cuts it. It helps with the portion control.
The logs.
Yeah.
Okay. And then this extra you can just set aside and use it again?
Yep. You just put that right back with the rest of the mix that you're rolling in.
Okay. Right, and you're setting them in here a certain way.
Right, so one goes all the way towards the back, as far back as possible.
Okay.
One a little bit more than the middle, and then one in between those two.
Okay. Can you do more than the 3?
You could, but you would have to move the lid so slow back and forth that it's just really not worth it. So for me, when I'm rolling, I just do 3 of them.
3 is a good number.
Yeah.
4 is kind of pushing it. 5 is too many.
5 might fall off. So if I was using this to portion, so say I wanted to portion cookies or marshmallows or meatballs or whatever, I would stack these up as many as I could possibly and just put the lid down once, and I would have 42 pieces. But if I want to roll, I do need this extra room here and the extra room in between so they don't roll into each other or fall off.
Good to know.
So I'm going to put the lid straight down just to cover the last log, and that's so I have enough room to push forward.
Okay, so where you put your last log, which is maybe like 2/3 of the way up the thing,
you just
set it right down there against there.
Yep.
All right.
And then you're going to want to push until you can kind of see it come out the back.
Okay, so you see these little balls there.
Yep, because if I didn't, they would come right out the top. You can see that.
Okay, so they're almost ready to fall off the edge.
Right.
So when you get to this one, these ones up here are
They're
right
safe.
on the edge.
They're still safe.
Is that always the case?
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as you place them like I said, then that will be okay.
Good.
And then when you pull it back, you don't want to go too far back from when you started, or they're going to end up on the floor here this way. So but just a couple times back and forth. Sometimes you think the more you roll it, the better, the more rounder it's going to be. But really, it'll just make them fall apart. So you really don't want to put them in there
just
for too long.
2-3 times.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. And look at these. They're like perfect. So then you would just take just like normal. You would take your stick, dip it in chocolate, stick it in here, and let it just sit. And
you can actually dip it right away. So as long as you dip the stick into chocolate and then stick it into the cake ball, you can keep dipping. You don't have to wait for that to harden. If you do, it'll probably just leave like a little nub on your stick when you eat it. That chocolate's a little bit harder, so you can just keep going. So you do need to dip it in the chocolate before, otherwise it'll just fall right off. But you don't have to wait for it.
You don't have to wait for it to chill. I've always done that, so I didn't know you could just go.
Plus, it takes up more room in your refrigerator if you're waiting for the sticks to come in.
Exactly.
So.
Well, cool. This is really great. And so you've got, let's see,
21.
You've got 21 here. Wow. In just seconds.
Yep.
So how many can you roll in an hour?
I can roll over 500 in an hour. Of course, I
Really?
use it every day, but you know.
Yeah. So it's something
Takes
you might have to work
A little
up
bit of practice,
to.
maybe just with the frame, just so you know how your dough works in the frame. But once you figure that out, the rest is easy.
That is really, really awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything, troubleshooting that they need to know about it, or?
Well, if you have less dough in a certain chamber or more dough, these actually, to me, they look kind of ovalish. So maybe I could have bent in the frame a little bit, pulled out some more dough, and they would have been a little bit rounder. And then these ones, if you can tell, it kind of has like a dip on it.
Yeah, I see that.
So that is because it was at the end of the row, and it didn't quite make it all the way to the end. So that chamber had less dough in it. So that's what happens when there's not enough dough, and when there's too much, it'll be a little bit more oval.
Okay.
So that would just be, I would have to put more dough towards the
Honestly,
side.
that looks. I mean, hand rolling that's about as good as it gets, right?
So yeah, you can actually keep, if that doesn't meet your quality control standards, you can always, like I said, just work with the frame. Either if it's too much dough, then you'll have to bend it in a little bit. Not enough dough, you would just take it out.
Okay, so this thing's pretty darn important.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so is it really strong? Is it going to break, or what happens if it does?
It's pretty strong. There is one weak spot on it, and I will show you where it is. So the weakest spot is where the longest slot on the top here meets this one. So if it's going to break, that's where it's going to happen.
Right there. That long one meets up pretty close to that short
But it's
one.
pretty hard. You'd have to hit it in the right spot or it'd be brittle, but it's pretty bendy.
Oh, wow.
So you can't, it's hard to break.
That was a shock.
But it is possible. You hit it just the right way, or you're tapping off this extra in the trash. It might just fly off if it's cold enough and brittle enough. But if it does, we do have a 2-year replacement warranty. So you just call us up, say I broke one, and we'll just send you one for free.
Awesome. That's great. And are there replacement pieces if if it's past the 2-year? Can you just order this again?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Cool. Well, that is just so neat. I guess it goes in the other way, right?
Yeah, long slot to long slot.
Long slot to long slot. Okay. Well, there you have it. It is so cool.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to go home and make some cake pops. Yay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're good. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I thought it was pretty fun. So I think that covered a lot. There were a couple things that after the fact I thought, we need to talk about this. So really fast, before we get into the questions, and by the way, make sure that you guys are going in and asking questions. Don't be shy. Ask anything that you want, and we'll have Bobby send them to me. I'll read them to you. So let's see. I wanted to start off by talking about inserts. So what you showed me was just the medium-sized roller. So on the top and the bottom of the cake pop roller, there's the little handles. And so explain what those are all about and what the inserts are.
Sure. On the top and bottom, there's a little rosette knob, and it's just a twist knob. You can twist it off with your hands. If you don't have any additional inserts, that's just how you would put it in the dishwasher. It's all dishwasher safe. But if you do, like I said, it is designed to be interchangeable. So we have a smaller insert. We have the one it comes with, that middle size that I showed you, and then we have a larger 1.5-inch insert. We also have a cupcake shape insert. That one's a little bit different, but for the most part, you would just unscrew the middles and screw them back in, and it's like a whole new shape. But yeah, the little one is kind of the size of a Whopper. I kind of use it for samples, although there's people out there that make them that size. And with that smaller insert, I can get about 60 cake balls per one box of cake. With the standard insert, I get about 30 to 32. They changed the sizes of cake mixes lately, so what used to be about 36 cake balls is now about 30 to 32 cake balls. So, and then on the big one, it's closer to like 16. So the big one is pretty big. It's about the size of a golf ball. So it's a little trickier. It's a big cake ball, and it's for me, it's harder to keep them on the stick, but that's just because I'm not used to making that size. But
that big of one, yeah.
Right, and all the cupcake shape is similar in weight and size to the standard, 1.25 inch ping pong kind of size ball that we roll.
Fun.
Yeah.
So when you cut the cupcake shape, I didn't get to I didn't have a chance to see the cupcake shape one work. Do you actually cut the logs with the cupcake shape?
Yeah, it's just the same. So basically, when you lay the logs the other way, you do have to portion them first. So then you'll lift the lid off. You'll cut it once. So you'll have a bunch of little squares. I think there's 15. And you do have to roll those a little bit and stick them back in the chamber. It doesn't have to look good, but it just has to be out of that square shape. If you just go and try and slide the roller to make the cupcake, it'll have a big rolling center on the bottom, and it'll be hard to put a stick in there. Like if you have a chocolate enrober or something where you don't have to use a stick or do any tapping, then it's fine, but most people don't. So you would just have to lightly roll it, get it out of that square shape, and then put the lid back on it and slide it a few times, and they're perfect little cupcakes.
How fun. I like the idea of the cupcake one. It's something different. Shaping cake pops into a certain shape, it can be a little more daunting, especially if you're making a cupcake shape.
Right.
It takes some time. Okay. Then another thing I wanted to talk about was you mentioned in there meatballs. I didn't even catch that when we were actually doing the video. And then in editing, I was like, oh my gosh, meatballs. So tell me about this whole meatball thing.
Well, I've had some people on my Facebook page tell me that they have a recipe that will roll in there. It does depend on consistency, so I think you would need enough breadcrumbs and stuff in the mix for it to actually roll meatballs. For me, I use it to portion meatballs. So I'll make my frame of meat and put it in the roller and then stack up as many logs onto the board as possible. And I think you can get 7 on there, with them pretty close. And then you put the lid on once without sliding it and lift it up, and you will have 42 pieces all the same size, so you can just quickly roll them and stick them in the pot. But like I said, if you do add enough breadcrumbs or enough stuff, you might be able to get them to roll. I don't, because my recipe is not that.
It's really soft.
Yes. So it depends. But like I said, worst case scenario, you can always use it to portion. 42 pieces at once is much better than individually grabbing and then rolling. So it does cut out one step.
Cool. That's really fun. So if your meatballs are normally on the thicker side when you roll them, then you can do meatballs or at least portion them. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I wanted to talk about, so I actually went home and I made some of these on Sunday. I was really excited. I was just too excited. Plus Sunday was my little girl's birthday, and so we had to have some kind of a treat. We're celebrating her party, later on, but I wanted some kind of a treat, and we had some cake scraps left over from something, and so I made some cake balls. And it was really fun, but one thing that I realized that I had said in the video that it looked like a Campbell soup can. I think that the roundness needs to be wider, or it's not going to fit to the end of your little.
Yeah, so
frame.
That's what I meant when I said just make the frame a little bit smaller. I always make it skinnier rather than shorter, I guess, because it doesn't really matter how much dough you have. You could even just roll 12 of them in there and just make the frame, really, really skinny, and then maybe put your Campbell soup can in tall ways instead of long ways, so it reaches all the way across. But yeah, it's just you'll get the feel.
Easier way to get it in there.
Yep. Just build it as small as you can to get it as tight as possible in there.
I loved it though. Honestly, I was so happy with it. I think it was minutes that I had. I didn't use a full mix worth of cake, but we had about 2 dozen cake pops in minutes. It was really fun. And the kids got to help, and they really thought it was so cool that we could put them in there, roll it a couple times, and oh my gosh, look. Awesome. So they had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it used to take me about 20 to 25 minutes to roll one cake. And I got pretty fast at it, but with the roller, definitely 2.5 minutes from, putting it in the frame to actually having balls. It's much faster.
Awesome. That's really awesome. So yeah, there is a little extra time of putting it in the frame.
Right.
But if you compare that to all the scooping or the, mixing and then the scooping and then the, rolling and then the, that whole process, it really is so much faster. All right, we have a whole lot of questions so far. Okay, first question is that an entire cake mix in Jennifer's hand? So what you were rolling out, was that an entire cake mix?
Right. It was pretty close. Basically, before I went to cake camp, I think I had about 5 cakes to roll with me during the whole time. So when I put them in the food processor, I bake double cakes in like a big turkey roasting pan. And so it was about, I would have to guess how many I took out of, the pan because they're double, and then, so I had 5 bundles of cake and 5 boxes of cake that I made, but some might have been a little bigger or a little smaller. So it was pretty close to a box of cake in that video.
Okay. All right. Someone asks, is this roller available for purchase in Canada and the UK?
It is. Canada, we do not have a distributor, so the shipping is $55 to Canada. So it's a little bit, pricey to ship, internationally, but they definitely are available. And in the UK, we do have a distributor, and that would be the Cake Decorating Company. And they sell them there locally, and it's much cheaper, I'm assuming, to buy, there and then have it shipped to you wherever. I think their shipping is pretty cheap, within the UK. So I would definitely check that out first, because shipping basically anywhere besides Canada and Mexico is $95. So it's about the cost of the roller just to ship it. Plus there's duties and customs, and that all depends on, where it's going to. So we don't really know what the duties and customs fees are. FedEx bills those for us directly. So basically we know it's $95 to ship it, outside of the US, and whatever, FedEx is going to charge individuals, we don't know. But it's definitely available, just costs more.
Okay, great. So one thing I heard was if any of you guys out there are distributors in Canada, you need to get in contact with Jennifer. So I'm sure that she would love to have a distributor in Canada.
I would.
Yeah. One thing that I wanted to talk about too was the value of this cake pop roller. You guys have the price is $99.
Yes.
So $99 is really, really inexpensive when you consider the value that you will be, getting, or the money that you will be getting back from selling cake pops. Basically, 1 batch, 2 batches of cake pops is going to make all of that money back. So the time that you save in that, and then just in being able to make them so quickly, you'll be earning your money back within a week. So it's really a good value. So even shipping to Canada for an extra $50, to me it would be worth it, honestly.
Right.
Having one and using it, I honestly think it would be worth it.
For sure. Like I said, I was ready to spend $3,000 on a used piece of equipment, begging for it to work, and was sad when it didn't work and I couldn't buy it. So it just depends on how often you're making them or want to make them, or if maybe you have a helper that comes in for $8 an hour and will sit there and roll balls for you. Well, that's 2 days, less than 2 days worth of work for that one person.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Awesome. That's really cool. Another thing is when the cake pop roller first came out, I saw it and I was really excited about it, and then I saw the price on it and was, but it was a lot more expensive when it first came out. But now you have things worked out to the point where you can sell it at a lower price point, and so to me this is absolutely worth its weight in gold.
Well, thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so let's see. Next question is, can you share your recipe, Jennifer? So can you explain again what your recipe is?
Sure. Well, my recipe is pretty sorry. I am not a typical, cake baker, decorator. Basically, I had another job. I did this on the side, and I just picked up whatever box cake was on the shelf on sale that week. And that's my recipe, whatever is in that magic little box. So I put the half a cup of oil, the 3 eggs, and the, cup of water or so that says on the back. Bake it for 27 minutes in the oven, and then, like I said, I put it in the mixer or the food processor for about 2 minutes. It comes out looking just like that dough ball without adding anything. Like I said, you can if you want to, but I don't. And then I just dip it in almond bark. So that's it. It's pretty simple.
Cool. Sounds easy enough to me. All right. Let's see. When you dip the stick in chocolate and put it in the cake ball, did you say you don't wait for that to set up?
I don't. No. You don't have to. All the directions, I'm pretty sure, say to wait for that to set. You don't need to. Like I said, all it does is leave a harder bit of chocolate there at the top where the stick is. And sometimes when the cake ball's dry, you can even see it. So like if you're looking at pictures, you can kind of see where the new chocolate meets that old chocolate that you stuck in there first. So it just makes it more smooth looking if you don't wait for it. Of course you can if you want to, if that's how you do it. But for me, it was just easier just to keep going and not wait. So.
Okay. All right. Maybe if your mixture is a little bit on the softer side, you might want to wait a little bit. But if it's, the texture that yours is, there's...
Even still, what I would do is just put it in the refrigerator without the sticks. Like I said, it takes up less room in the refrigerator. So you could just line up. Like what I do is I line up the pan that I bake the cake in. I line that with wax paper, put the cake balls in there, and then put it in the fridge for 20 or so minutes. And that's... without the sticks, you can put more balls in there. You can even stack them, maybe 2, 3 high without them squishing too bad on you. And that will firm them up so where you can dip them and they won't be on the softer side.
Nice. I like that. Okay. Let's see. Someone says, I own a cake pop roller. Can you repeat what you do if you have dents or ovals?
Yes. So the dents means not enough cake dough in the frame. So if you don't have enough, what you're going to want to do is build the frame a little bit smaller, let those sides bow out a little bit so it really compacts it in there and the frame looks like it's, bowed out, and then try rolling that, and I bet you that it will round it out. If you put frosting in with your cake, it makes the cake denser, so it'll actually fall down into the frame a little bit more than if you didn't add the frosting. So you're going to want the frame to bow out a little bit just so it's a little bit higher in there. So when you roll that, that should be more circular. If you do have oval-shaped balls, that just means there was too much dough in that frame. So what you're going to want to do is bend the side inward a little bit as you roll off the excess. I noticed in the video my arm was kind of in the way, but those frames are kind of, they're meant to be bendy, so you would just bend it inwards and roll off extra. It doesn't look like a whole lot is coming off, but like I said, just a little bit of difference will make a big difference in the roller. So like I said, just try bending one side in at a time and trying to roll it and making sure, seeing what the results are. But it should be a lot rounder that way.
Great. Well, and getting the right portions and all of that, that will affect the way that, that it turns out.
That is the learning curve, and I always say to people to take maybe 30 minutes and their dough when they first get it, and just kind of re-roll the same dough a couple times and see how your dough works with the roller. That first upfront 30 minutes, 20 minutes maybe, will really save you a ton of time down the road just to really get a good feel on how it works in there.
All right. So when you first get it and you're trying it out and stuff, like you said, there is a little bit of a learning curve. So don't try it out and say, this is, not working out the way that the video, she made it look so easy, and you just have to work with it, mess with it a little bit, get comfortable with it, and then you can tell what it does. It did, it took me a few tries actually. My recipe that I had for mine was a little bit on the dry side, and so it just didn't quite come together. And so I did need to add in something. I added in a caramel sauce and
Nice.
made it nice and soft. And so then it was good and it rolled out. So, but when I first put it in there, it was a little dry. I portioned it out, and I could tell that it was kind of flaking a little bit.
Right.
And so, but then when I tried to roll it, it just fell apart.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
that was a mess.
If it goes in the frame anywhere not solid, it's going to come out not solid. So
Yeah.
I always say that the better it is in the frame, the better your results are going to be. So just take time to make sure the frame is, you got your dough that's not going to fall apart in there. If it falls apart in the frame, just rolling it flat, definitely going to fall apart in the easy roller. So,
Yeah.
so like I said, just, some cakes do need frosting if, so if you bake a scratch cake, I always get this question, what's your scratch cake recipe? And sadly, I don't have one. So, but I do know that some scratch cakes tend to be a little bit drier than others. So those may need a little bit of frosting or just extra time kneading. The more you knead a cake, the more pliable it's going to get. So that could be too. So either kneading it more, a little bit of icing in those cakes, or, like I said, it's just practice, because sadly, I don't make a scratch cake. Or I say if you still can't get it, if you make a scratch mix and it's just not working, I say get a box cake and try it like I say and see if the box cake will work in there. And if it does, then maybe it's just an ingredient or something in your cake that's not helping it bind up a bit.
Okay. Good tip. Okay. She asked, "Can you show the cupcake one?" I don't know if you have one right offhand.
I don't, but you know what? On my website, I do have a video on the cupcake insert page, and if they click on that, it'll be a video of the cupcake.
There you go. You do have some videos on your website too. So
yes.
You guys can go to her website and look up the videos that are on there, and it shows some troubleshooting stuff, and then there's one on the different cake pop rollers, and so yeah, definitely go check that out too. We're going to be sending you guys over to the website in just a minute for the giveaway. So if you hang tight, I will give you guys the link to that. So okay. Someone said, where is this available?
It's available on my website, thebestcakepops.com. So you can definitely order it there. I do have a couple distributors around, so if you already shop at CK or Chef Rubber or Cake Supplies For You, they also carry it. And internationally, in Australia, there is Bakery Sugarcraft. And then UK, like I said, is the Cake Decorating Company.
Okay, and you guys, we have a discount, a little bit of a discount for you guys. So if you, when you order it in the little, like the promo code, is that what it is, little promo code? Type in CakeFu, and if you type in CakeFu, you'll get $5 off. So, yeah, very cool. Let's see. Will you have these for sale at Icy's?
Yeah. I am seeing if I can get a booth at ISIS. I have not gotten one yet. I heard it was sold out, but I haven't emailed to be on the waiting list. And if I do go, then yes, I will have them there, but I don't know yet.
All right. She said, or someone says, did you say you don't freeze them? How do you keep the cake ball from falling off the stick if you don't freeze them?
Awesome. So for me, what I have found is the directions make these things really difficult, and they make them, or you need to freeze them, or you need to refrigerate them for an extended period of time for them to stay solid and on the stick and work out well. But for me, what I have found is when I eliminated the frosting, I eliminated 90% of the issues. So I don't freeze them. I maybe refrigerate them for 20 minutes tops if I feel like they're soft, but basically the frosting adds to their gooiness, their softness, and when you hold them in your hand, you can kind of tell the heat from your hand will kind of make them spread a little bit, so they need to be frozen or in the refrigerator to kind of hold their shape. But without the frosting, they are so much firmer. You can hold them in your hand and they won't kind of melt away on you. so you don't need to have them this cold, because if you do dip them when they're frozen, they are likely to crack, and you spent all this time rolling them and all this time in the freezer, and then you go to dip them and they're going to crack and ooze and be a big old mess. So for me, the frosting not only helped me from a cost standpoint, it also helped me from an ease of use, standpoint. So like I said, you can definitely add the frosting, but you have to be aware of the issues that comes with that. So you might have to freeze it. You might have to put it in the refrigerator, overnight rather than just 20 minutes. But like I said, for me, eliminate the frosting. They taste the same. Maybe a little less sweet, but still the chocolate on the outside is pretty sweet. So it's just an extra little tip that might help.
I actually like that because the cake pops, when they've got all of that frosting, the more frosting you add to it, the sweeter it's going to be. The more you can only eat one, because they're just so rich. And so to have it so that there's not as much frosting. First of all, it's a little less fattening,
That's right. A little less calories.
We're all trying to watch our shapes, even just a little bit. So a few less calories and a little less, sweet, So you want to talk about some of the other things that are on your website? I know that you have the little bags and the little twisty, the little thing to tape up the cake pops, which I think is really cool. So you want to talk about some of those other things you have on the website?
Sure. We also have the cake pop sealer. So basically it's just a little paper and tape device. You would put the wrapper on the cake pop and then slide the stick and the wrapper down the chute, and it'll automatically wrap the cake pop. So it's an airtight seal. It's paper and tape, so it's easy to open. So basically you would just tear the paper at where it intersects and pull it, and then it comes right out. So ours, it says, they all say tasty on it. So a lot of people ask if they can get their logo or have it blank or certain colors. So there's a lot of questions that usually come up with that. And you can customize that tasty to be your logo. It's really expensive. A lot of people don't want to do it because it's probably about $1,000 investment just to get the paper to say what you want it to say. So a lot of people think tasty is just fine. What is not tasty in the cake industry, right? So basically what we did is just went ahead and made that investment to make it a broad spectrum, kind of wording there. So you can do it, but like I said, it costs money. The colors, it's the same thing. You have to custom order it. So you have to custom order so much paper to be able to get them to do it that it's almost not worth it, I would say.
Okay.
But what else? Oh, we have T-shirts now. So I don't know if you can see. I have my Bake, Batter, and Roll Cake Pop T-shirt on today. So
oh, that's really cute. I love it.
So we can custom make T-shirts for you. So we have those on our website as well. We have a couple cake shirts, but we can also make your logoed websites or T-shirts. Or if you have a cute little saying, it doesn't have to be cake related. We can print whatever on T-shirts. So we also have that as well, along with the cake pop roller and all the inserts. You can buy the inserts individually. You can buy them as a bundle. But a lot of questions I get is, can I order my cake pop roller with the insert that I want instead of the insert it comes with? And sadly, no, you can't. You have to. It always comes with the 1 1/4". Basically, for me, it's a warehousing thing. It's small company thing. Basically, I don't have the storage space or the capital to order as many rollers as I need in each size, and then let alone store them all. So the inserts for me are easier to store. Individually, and the roller obviously is much easier to store than all of them in different shapes. So sadly, it only comes in the 1 1/4". You have to purchase the insert separately. But like I said, it's how we can get it out there in the public. So hopefully that will work.
I need to stress the discount for you guys to make sure that if you're not the winner, you can still get this discount. So you would get $5 off if when you purchase it in the little promo box, type in CakeFu, and that will get you a nice little discount for you. Again, if you guys weren't the winners and it's you're not Pam, go ahead and while you're there on the website, purchase one of these awesome cake pop rollers and get your $5 off. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the training. I know I learned a lot more about cake pops, and I'm I'm excited to do more cake pops. I kind of pushed it off to the side as it's too much work. But now that I have this roller and I can just go to town and make as many as I want. Yeah, it'll be great.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Jennifer, for coming on. Thank you, everybody who listened in, and we'll see you guys all next week.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.